When we work in archaeology, often we're working on particular buildings or particular structures, and we want to know what was going on there. So how do you know that this was an Iseum?
At the beginning, of course, we found the vestiges of a temple. Then, little by little, we understood that that temple was devoted to the Osirian family, Osiris, Isis, most probably Horus. Then we found the statue. Okay, this was obviously a cult to Isis, Osiris. And then also you have written evidence. That's, like that, it's the whole story coming together, and we have an overview of the identity, on the way that the sanctuary was functioning, with banqueting, as you have done a superb study about banqueting in the Iseum, and also about the donation given to that sanctuary through centuries. It did not leave much, since from the 3rd century BC to the mid-1st century AD, and then it was the end by this earthquake.
So it's putting the pieces together from the archaeology, so the statues that you found, from the pottery that you found, from all the other small items that come up through excavation, with the texts and with the wider picture of how the temple sits. So it is this jigsaw puzzle.
Yes, it's a jigsaw puzzle, and we have the chance in Alexandria, of course, to have ancient texts supporting what we could find and what we have found, and the excavation also sometimes explain and go deeper to the ancient texts.
I think that's the important thing of a publication like this, is that it allows you to gather all of the detail together on this particular excavation that you've done, and really to unpack the story of the Iseum from its origin,
yes,
with it beginning in the start of the Ptolemaic period, right the way through to its destruction in the Roman period.
Yes. The history of that temple is very, very strange. We are on the Royal Island, in the middle of the Royal Quarter of the Portus Magnus. There, most probably, there was, since the very beginning of the Ptolemaic period, even maybe before, with this we don't know, a sanctuary to Osiris. And at the time of Ptolemy XII, which was the father of Cleopatra, famed Cleopatra VII, Ptolemy XII turned that sanctuary of Osiris into a sanctuary devoted to his own personal cult, because he considered himself as the new Osiris. And a stele, which is in the British Museum, explains perfectly what has happened there. He asked the higher priest of Egypt to come on that place, and when they went out of the sanctuary, the priest Pasherenptah was given by the king Ptolemy XII a crown of gold and jewelry, and in front of all the court, the king asked Pasherenptah to institute a cult to his own person as the new Osiris. And it was in that place. It was fabulous. And it so happens that after Ptolemy XII, of course, Cleopatra VII, considering herself as the new Isis and identifying herself as the goddess Isis, turned this temple of the Osirian family, meaning Isis, Osiris, Horus, to the temple to his own personal cult. Thus it became a very important sanctuary for the Ptolemaic dynasty. Thus, what has happened when Octavius wins the war against Cleopatra VII? He could have destroyed that temple because he was much against the cult of Isis. But here, it was too much of an important temple for the Egyptian, because it was a temple to the goddess Isis, and Cleopatra was very well supported by the clergy of Egypt. He could not destroy that temple because he wanted to control Egypt. Thus, very cleverly, he turned that temple to the goddess Isis, who is protecting the fleet. And it was the Annona fleet, the fleet which every year was bringing the grain from Egypt to Rome, to feed Rome. Thus, that temple went on to be very important because it was the first and last temple to be seen by the navigator entering or leaving the Portus Magnus, and there was the temple of Isis protecting the Roman fleet. Thus, that temple was given donation up to the time where it has been destroyed by an earthquake in the mid-51st century AD. Thus, this is a very strange story for a temple, the Iseum of Antirhodos.
And I think it's fantastic that we're able to work in a place where all of these amazing names from the past walked. So Cleopatra, Mark Antony, Octavian.
Yeah, and even further than that, it was a place where a new type of a cult has been developed in the Ptolemaic court around Osiris. And this new cult was a cult of the original water of Osiris, and that cult has been, I would say, symbolized by a statue of a priest holding a canopic vase containing the substance of primordial water of Osiris. And we have that statue there in the temple. Thus, it has been also the site of a new type of a cult to Osiris, which has been spread after to the whole Roman Empire.
So it really is at the epicenter of the development of these kind of religious ideas.
Yes, it is the epicenter of that new idea, a new, I would say, way of worshipping Osiris. And I think, of course, it was the epicenter because we are in Alexandria, in the middle of the royal quarter, in the royal temple devoted to the cult of the kings and queens. As, it had to be there.
That's fascinating. Thank you very much, Frank.
Thank you, Damian.